Resurrection Fest TV.
Hace exactamente 2 años aquí en Resurrection Fest yo pedí una entrevista para la gente de Stick to Your Guns. They didn't want to give it to me back in the day, but I'm so patient and I knew that one day it will happen. So I'm here with Jesse, the nice Jesse, who now is forced to give me the interview.
Exactly. I was mean back then. I'm very nice now.
Welcome back to Resurrection Fest.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna be lovely with you today. I'm not gonna be...
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, so you've been here 2 years ago, now you're back. I know that you just arrived, but I'm sure that you've seen something around and maybe... And what's the changes you see in the festival?
So far, none. I know we play the same stage we played last time. I entered the festival the same way last time. So far, what I've seen has been exactly the same. And I like how they put up all the flyers from the past Resurrection festivals.
I know, you're in a few of them.
Yeah. I like that. See all the other bands I played before. It's cool.
So it's like a memorabilia, like you're part of the family, of Resurrection Fest family already.
Totally.
And hopefully my friend after the interview.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Okay, so let's talk about the latest album. It came out like a year ago.
Yep.
And how was the public? How the public react to it?
I mean, surprisingly well, and I say that
Every album.
Exactly, humbly, just because I feel very honored or blessed, I guess, to be able to do what we do and to be able to tour the world doing it, because there's so many people who write amazing music and play in amazing bands and are amazing people who don't necessarily get the same opportunity that we get.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we're able to come all the way to a city in Spain that I had never even heard of until we came here 2 years ago, and be able to play in front of all these people is incredible.
Really good. Yeah. So it's a place I never heard from many Spanish people too until the festival was created 13 years ago. Yeah. And I'm so happy that you're here again because I like the band, and I have to say that I've been following you, everything you were doing, even when you were touring with Architects, who played last year. How was that tour?
Amazing. I mean, they're one of my, as far as metalcore and hardcore music goes, they're one of my favorites. They're the best, and they not only write amazing music, but they're amazing people, and they put on an amazing live show, and they bring on bands on tour that they truly care about, and then they treat those people very well. And I think that has a lot to do, that speaks a lot of who they are as people, and I think it has a lot to do with the success that they have, because when you treat your peers and you treat your people who are close to you well, and even people who aren't close to you, when you're just a genuinely good person, I feel like that goes a long way. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's who they are, and they're incredible. And we've known them for so long, and to see their success absolutely skyrocket is like, I feel like I'm winning too. You know what I mean?
I think as bands, you both have a lot in common. Yeah. You know, like even you, not only the style of music maybe, but also like a lifestyle, because you know, vegans, you're activists, all of you, and I think it's strange, but in this edition of this festival mainly has so many bands that are activists of politics or ecologic or whatever, and why do you think is that happening? Because if you look back in the 80s, the 90s, you didn't have that kind of music in metal, like the message in metal music, right. You know? What do you think is that?
It's a good question, and to me,
I made it, so it's good.
Personally, I think that this kind of music was meant for that, because when you listen to it, it sounds angry, it sounds frustrated, it sounds very agitated, and it doesn't take, you don't need to be some sort of rocket scientist to open up your eyes to the world that is surrounding us and to be frustrated with it. Yeah. There's injustice everywhere you look. All over the world right now are trends of nationalism and racism and all of it, and it's upsetting. And you're absolutely right. I think as far as mainstream metal music goes, in the 80s and stuff, I don't think those kinds of ideas were being talked about, but definitely they were in punk and hardcore in the 80s, and they definitely were in punk and hardcore in the 90s, and then
Not in metal. Metal, we're talking
Right.
about Satan and
exactly, and I think that metal kind of adopted that from hardcore and metal, because a lot of it kind of as you know, 80s, 90s, 2000s, even in, you know, to where we are now in today in 2018, all the worlds kind of came together. So much there's not such strict divisions between metal and punk and hardcore anymore. It's all kind of, you know, one kind of thing, kind of. And so I think that's kind of how that happened. And to me, I think it's great. I think that's what it should be.
okay. So that leads me to the next question. You think that's working? Because as a musician, I know that you are inspired by certain things, and what you're trying to do is just bring the message to the audience, to the public, and make a change. Because mostly when you are talking about these very touchy subjects, your intention is make a change. You think really it's working? That you're making a change on the public, on people, on kids?
The only reason I can say yes is because of the overwhelming amount of people who tell our band that. And also from my own perspective, you know, when I was younger and I had an older sister, you know, when I was introduced to metal, I was introduced to Sepultura, Metallica, and Black Flag and Minor Threat when I was very, very young. And so, you know, that music's always been a part of my personal culture. And so, you know, the second I heard it, I was like, yeah, this is me, you know what I mean? It's loud, it's obnoxious, it's in your face, and it's just like full energy, and that's how I've always been my entire life. And so, you know, I remember singing lyrics when I was younger and having no idea what I'm even saying, and then as I get older, I understand what a lot of these bands are talking about, and then the music became even more important to me, because I recognized from a very young age that I just wasn't really, I didn't like things the way that they were. You know what I mean? If something was a specific way and I was like, well, that seems corrupt, or that seems this, or that seems that, why don't we change it? And then people go, oh, well, it's not that easy. And that's true, but...
it's not impossible.
Right.
If it were easy, everybody could do it, right?
Totally. And so I think that the world is starting to come together in a way of realizing that there's more of us than there are of them, especially the culture in America right now, where, you know, there's such a division between people, especially in politics, with this fucking idiot that we have in office right now. And
He's watching, say it.
And so, you know, and the whole world, you know, we're the laughing stock of the world even more than we have been in the past. And but that's good, you know what I mean? And I think that America is learning a lot about how we are not the greatest country in the world. I think they're learning that through how weak our representative is making us look. And I think that we're learning that through, you know, our policies of our country and the way that other countries do things, and how, you know, other countries, they have things like national health care, which I believe that health care is a basic human right. And you shouldn't, you know, I've had a father who had a heart attack and they had to declare bankruptcy because it was $500,000. And that shouldn't have to be a thing, that shouldn't have to be a situation, you know what I'm saying? And so right now you have this insurgence of young people, very young people, who are calling themselves socialists or democratic socialists in the States, who are fighting for these things for people. Or you hear about, you know, all these, you know, people coming from, you know, Ecuador or other places, Uruguay and Venezuela, from South America, trying to come because their home life is so terrible, because no one wants to leave their home. No one. Home,
you have to leave home is because home is worse than any other option.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. No one wants to leave home no matter where it is. So to leave home with your family, to come to this new place and try to be like, please help us. Like, we're not just trying to come here to leech off your system. We're coming here because we're going to be killed where we are, or life is so terrible there. Yeah. And then they come to America thinking like, oh, that's the land of opportunity, and that's the land where people are respectful, and that's the place where, you know, life is thriving. And then children are being ripped away from their families, and they thrown in cages and all that shit. Terrible. And then beyond that, you know, people profit off that. You know, all those detention centers, those are owned. Those are privately owned by people, and they make money from that. So, you know, I don't know about what is a better system to put in place right now. All I know is that the system that's currently there is very, very sick. It's very, very broken, and it needs to be changed. And I think that can only happen when people are willing to have a conversation about those things. And that's where the music comes in. That's where the conversation starts. the show is just the show. We share the ideas, we start the ideas, we start it, but where it is most important is when you try to put it into play away from the show. Your life outside of the show. That's where those ideals matter the most.
Wow, Jesse for president. Yeah.
Oh, no.
You were like that.
No, I
I
don't.
think that you will be more helpful there.
No, because politicians don't change the world. Politicians only change their countries, and I believe I would love to do bigger than that.
Oh, like what? Tell me. I'm so interested.
No, I mean that's what I want to add to. I don't have a. I don't care if someone is American or Spanish or Japanese or Australian. I don't want to have an allegiance to one team. I want to be. Exactly. As cheesy and corny as that sounds, that's what I'm shooting for.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. That's what everybody should have their mind in, you know, like, yeah. Okay, let's talk about something different than politics. Like, we know a bit more about you, Jesse. So, what's your passions besides music and maybe become a governor of California? What's your passion?
Oh man, I like reading. I did really bad in school. I wasn't a good student, but I love to learn. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. Just I didn't, I think and again, I'm not trying to make it political again, but I'm saying there's an education system that the public education system in America is so broken and convoluted as well. And they force people to learn about things that they're not interested in. And I understand that sometimes you need to do that. Sometimes you need to learn about math because everyone should know math, or learn how to read. But they don't truly nurture a student to go after things that they're actually interested in. And so, I'm a high school dropout, and but that doesn't mean, a lot of people thought that's because, like what we were talking about earlier, a lot of people thought that's because I was lazy and I just didn't want to do homework or something. And that's not the case at all.
You're not into it.
Right. I wanted to learn the things that I wanted to learn about. And I wanted to travel, and I wanted
What
to
are those things that you'd like to learn about?
different political systems. I wanted to learn about actual history, real history, not the history that they teach you in America about how America is the greatest. America is always the hero, and we're all over the world saving everyone. Okay. I'm not kidding you. That's what they teach you, and it's people think that, and that's why
we see that in movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why Americans think we're the greatest country in the world, because we're told that from when we're so young. That Americans win here and we save this, and Americans win that. It's just not the case. It's just not the case. I'm not trying to say that Americans are bad people, because I don't think that. There's so many beautiful Americans, and America is responsible for a lot of beautiful things, but it's so confused right now about who it is, and I think that's because maybe we're so young. We're still trying to figure out who we're in the teenage phase right now, where we're rebelling against our parents, and we know what's best.
The rebellion is going on in every country in the world at the moment. There's so much conflict everywhere you see in the map. You see it in the Korea, you see it in Middle East, you see it in South America. So it's like it's breaking up and it's gonna explode.
But here's the difference.
What's gonna happen when it explodes?
But here's the difference: is none of those countries claim to be the moral, superior, best top country. America does. America says this is how every country should be, just like us. We're the greatest, and that, to me, that's the difference. And you're right that there is horrible shit happening all over the place. There's nationalism happening in Germany. There's nationalism happening in the UK. There's nationalism happening in the United States, obviously. It happens everywhere. I'm sure it's here in Spain as well. But I think what's important to understand is none of us chose. You didn't choose to be Spanish. I didn't choose to be. What are?
I'm Argentina.
Are you?
Yes.
Beautiful. I've never been, but
I'm trying to earn my love again, but I don't know if it's gonna happen like that.
Whatever it is, wherever you're from, none of us chose that.
Yeah.
And
right.
so to have such pride over that is, yeah. I mean, I think it's great to love your culture and love where you came from, but you need to continue the conversation past that. And so, and you do that by learning about other people and other cultures and other things, right?
Yeah.
But that can only happen if you have an open mind and not think that like, I'm the best because of where I come from and blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Well, Jesse, I like you more now. You made it. I like you more. Okay. Man, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great show today, and I hope to see you in 2 years again here in Resurrection Fest, and we're gonna have a better conversation then. This was Jesse from Stick to Your Guns and Shadia for Resurrection Fest TV 2018.